Hello class, we are doing our presentation on family system theory by Michelle Munoz and Jenny Alstrom. We have learned a lot in this project and hope that you will be able to as well. So this theory began to form in the early 1900s. In 1938, Wallers wrote a textbook where he discusses how the family is basically a closed system of social interaction, and how the family is the greatest source of influence on a child, and that the child's personality also affects the parents. A main point he makes is that the family experiences are repetitive and are based on patterns of interaction. In the 1960s, the system theory began to take a real formation as it related to families after World War II. This is when they began to seek explanations for the transactions between family members that seem to be at the heart of dysfunctions, instead of just seeing the faults or qualities of each individual family member. Family systems theory's greatest strength is in communication and clinical application.
Assumptions. The image at the bottom of the slide covers two of the assumptions of the family systems theory. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and individual and family behavior must be understood in context. Some other assumptions are: a family is self-reflective and self-regulating, continually influenced by feedback, and a locus of pathology is not within the person, but is a system dysfunction. There are many terms to know with this theory. They are system, family roles, hierarchy, family rules, boundaries, entropy and energy, feedback loops, equilibrium, circular causality and linear causality, identified patient, double-bind, family cohesion, family flexibility, and mutuality. I want to mention a couple individually because I think they are important. The first one I want to talk about is feedback loops. It is important to know that positive feedback loops do not necessarily affect the family in a positive way, and negative feedback loops don't necessarily affect the family in a negative way. A positive feedback loop pushes for change. A negative feedback loop pushes to keep things the same. A small example of a positive feedback loop creating change is in the movie Mulan, where Mulan, a female soldier in China, the positive feedback loop, tries to convince her Captain Shang that she can do the job. The negative feedback loop is that Captain Shang sends her home. He believes women are not to be soldiers. He doesn't want change. He wants things to stay the same. Most of the characters in the movie feel this way. In the end, the Emperor mulls things over, recognizes Mulan's contribution, and instead of dishonoring her, the Emperor honors Mulan. A double-bind situation is when there are two commands that contradict one another. If you obey one request, then you are in trouble for not obeying the other, and you are not given the opportunity to discuss or clarify the situation. Adam and Eve were in such a situation of sorts. They were told not to eat of the fruit of the tree of good and evil, and to multiply and replenish the earth. They couldn't do both at the same time. These two commands contradicted each other. Eve made a choice to partake of the fruit. Adam knew he needed to be with Eve, and he ate the fruit, facing the consequences together. They were given a choice, but couldn't choose the consequence of the decision. This double bind ends with Adam and Eve not being able to return to the garden, yet being able to multiply and replenish the earth. The plan did include God providing a savior for them.
For our last example, we like this clip from The Incredibles. It's a great example of one of the main assumptions for family system theory, that the sum is greater than the parts in a family. Each of these members have very distinct talents and abilities that together make it possible for them to survive as a family. As you watch the film, look for different roles family members have, as well as how they communicate with one another.
I'm okay, Mom. Really? Stay here, okay?
Syndromes remote!
Remote control
A remote? A remote that controls what? The robot? Oh, the other one, the first one!
First button! Got it! It's getting closer!
Look out!
Get out of here, kids! Find a safe spot! Not going anywhere!
Press the button!
Not yet!
What are you waiting for?
A closer target! You got one shot!
Everybody done!
So here's the circumplex model by David Olson that we can use to help families identify where they are and where would be the most healthy place for them to be, where they'd like to get to. The model includes 3 dimensions of family cohesion and flexibility or adaptability and communication. The center of the circle represents levels of balance in these dimensions. When families communicate with active listening and respect and clarity, then they have a better chance of finding this balance. Go ahead and push pause if you want to take a better look at this model. It's a very useful one in application. Some of the criticism is that they believe that the family systems theory does not qualify as a true theory, but does better as a model. Others say it's too abstract and is therefore not useful. We need to remember that the family systems theory is a model for understanding, and it's not to be taken as a reality. As we apply this theory to the real world, we explore complex family dynamics through communication and family typologies, family health and illness, and family dynamics and functioning. One example was a study done to better understand the dynamics surrounding obesity and family intervention. They found a positive correlation between the parents' concern for their own weight and then a decrease of family conflict, and also when a family's resources increased. All these things helped to benefit the adolescent's weight status. So there's an example of using this theory in a real application. That is our presentation, you guys. We hope that you were able to learn some more about this theory and hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.